welcome back. Let's get into basically some of the key things that you're going to end up coming across with um, exteriors, specifically due to roof issues. So hopefully this ends up giving you some pretty good examples. So this is T111 siding. Some areas are calling it SmartSide LP siding. It's essentially wood siding. It's very common on manufactured homes alongside with vinyl and also tin or aluminum siding as well. So with this scenario, what essentially was happening is, if you can look over on the side here, there is a huge bubble that this woman had coming in above her window, and that was causing water to come down in there, and that's how she ended up realizing it actually. And what ended up happening is that the metal edge along the manufactured home and where the carport connected was not connected correctly. And so what was happening is there was a bent drip edge, if you will, and then the metal on the carport had some damage. And what actually had to happen was as flashing needed to be put in to be able to transition from the roof edge correctly down into on the carport as it slanted downward. If going back this way. So what was happening is water was getting captured in between the two different roof lines, the carport range roof line, and then the actual manufactured home roof line. And what was happening is it was bringing water and capturing water along basically the wood siding. And so you can see from the discoloration that water was just getting in there and pouring down there, and it actually bowed out down here. Some of the other things that were occurring on that same side, there were some poor repairs that were done. A lot of rotting wood on that side of the house. We have swamp coolers in our area, which is it's basically an evaporative cooler. Typically in your areas where it's a more dry climate, you can actually run those. And essentially what they have is they have cold water that runs through a fan, and that ends up having a blower motor that blows air down into the home. Okay, essentially is what it is. And so what can happen is if they're not maintained correctly, if the space around it is not maintained correctly, or the actual unit itself is not maintained correctly, it can cause a lot of damage. And so essentially what happened with this is it had years and years and years of damage. It was not addressed correctly. It was just band-aided. And there was a lot more rotting wood and underlayment, and also shingles that had just essentially rotted away in this section. If you take a look at this side, this is where the actual wood had rotted away, because this is just above that area. This is your drip edge, right? So there's a lot of damage over time that has occurred in this area because of just all of the water that has been getting in, and that's where some of those issues have occurred. It'll typically follow down basically a roof rafter, and then down a wall, basically a wall connection point on the 2x4s down that wall, and we'll just find a place where it can escape. And a lot of times when water is diverted from one place to another, it'll find a way to be able to just find its way through and be able to basically express itself in a different way and location on the home. So the big thing is just a matter of identifying where all of the vulnerable spots are on the roof, as well as also anything that's attached to it, as well as also anything down below, so that we can resolve and divert the water correctly away from the home. So replacing fascia and also drip edge is what we were planning on doing here. As you can see where all the marks are, this is what would need to be addressed. Above there, we took off some of the shingles so that we can end up seeing exactly what we have. We popped this down as well. And you can see that there is, some blocking that was done in that area, not done correctly. And therefore, you can see all of the rot that has been occurring in that area. And then also multiple layers of shingles too. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll view that their fix is just to put another stack of shingles on top of it and to call it good. The unfortunate thing is if you have stuff that is vulnerable underneath and it's not done correctly, you're going to end up just having more layers of garbage that's going to hold water in and cause more problems. Again, just another example on an angle of where it had brought it away and the issues. The other thing is too, is if you have the incorrect roof pitch. So if you have a dip up, okay, what's going to happen is water's going to sit here and it's going to pull and it's going to seep back into the decking in a lot of cases. And so in some cases, you know, if you have a situation like this throughout the home, you're going to have propensity for water to just, and also ice, right? It's going to accumulate there and then get back in underneath and just pop and destroy this area. Basically up and then destroying the decking underneath, and it'll water wick all the way up. So we have a chunk of span, you know, all along her roof where we're having consistent issues. And if you can see right there, there's water coming right down and going right into that window, and she actually has leaking that's occurring in that window. You can actually on the inside, you can actually see streaking that's taking place. So then that's also buckled this area here. This is definitely an area that's become soft because of the uptick of it, and it has water wicked. So the decking is now vulnerable. That's basically the wood that's underneath the shingles. The shingles are still in halfway decent shape. It's just a matter of popping those up, put new decking down, and then ice and water shield on their drip edge, and so on and so forth. This is the specific area that's going to need a lot more aggressive new decking in another area of the roof as well. And as you can see, it's right in that same spot where we were talking about the carport, as well as the drip edge and the decking having issues between those two connection points. Probably what was happening is water was coming down and ended up snow ended up accumulating in here, and in a lot of cases probably ice damped back into here and was causing that issue. So, you know, those are some of the things. Just need to do an edit there for. So all in all, there are a lot of different things to be watching out for, looking for on roofs. A lot of times from the ground, you can start to be able to decipher what is happening on the roof if you can't get a good clear look at it. If you're seeing leaking inside, a lot of times there is a reason for that. A lot of times it is caused by roof issues and or window or fascia issues. This home has fascia issues. It has siding issues. It has roof issues. It has connection points and transition points between the current roof line and carports, and as well as also porch roofs. And because they're not adequately done, tons and tons of rot, which, you know, it's not super expensive to do, but it will definitely be something that will need to be addressed before you can actually consider the inside watertight and actually be able to put that home back together when you're looking to rehab it. If you have a very tight budget, you don't have anybody that's a trusted roofer, you're probably going to have somebody that's going to look to charge you an arm and a leg for these repairs. In fact, actually, this person had gotten a quote for well over $6,000 for the same type of repairs that we could budget and do for $3,000. So, and it's because I've got a trusted roofer on this home, and this is a home that we were looking to buy. So all of these things definitely do add up. It will take away from your budget, especially if it's a tight budget, especially also if you have a time crunch. So my recommendations is just making sure that you're looking pretty closely at what you're working with and have an idea as to what's going on with that respective property. A lot of times the stuff that's going on inside, for instance, we had 2 pretty aggressive leaks on windows in this home, as well as also that bubble on the side of the house and all that dripping down on the side of the house like you see here. Those were all indicators that something else more sinister was happening along here. So just wanted to point those things out so that when you're doing your evaluation for your manufactured homes, that you can take a look at these things and know that that's probably going to be a little bit more expensive, especially if you're getting started. And if you don't have a roofer or know exactly what you're doing, those are definitely things to get inspected a lot further and to be able to identify where the actual source of issues are. In some cases, some of the more extreme cases that I found is that water will be coming down between the roof line as well as also the carport, and it'll actually go behind the T111 siding or smart siding and will actually cause bubbles. When that happens, that means that there's water that is freezing, a lot of cases behind there, a decent amount of water that is staying there. And then what ends up happening is it'll affect your interior wall, what's going on in there. So I can guarantee you that if you pop that off, you're going to see a pretty aggressively water wicked 2x4s for the walls, as well as also a lot of insulation that is going to be water wicked, and you might actually have rot at the top of the top plate of the wall, as well as potentially at the bottom plate of the wall as well. So definitely can end up being an expensive thing if left unaddressed. And when you're looking at these manufactured homes, make sure that you're looking at these things. These things may not be within your budget or realm of what you feel comfortable working with, because in most cases, not only is it going to be potentially a wall issue on the inside as far as like water getting in, but also in a lot of cases, possibly a lot more extensive repairs and more sinister issues that are occurring with that manufactured home and racking up the expense. And then once they start getting into this, in some cases, your trusses are going to have issues and be broken and rotted. And it can end up being just a snowball effect of repairs that you'll have to do. So take this information with shingled roofs, look to apply it within your manufactured home investing business, and make it a great day.